Hi everyone, this is Pierrick from P2design. I've released several videos about the principles of animation or how to improve your animations. In this video, I want to focus on two major principles I apply to get good action animation. If you know my channel, you know that I'm really into stylized, action-based animations. And if you're new to the channel, then welcome and let's get started. The first, most important concept of a good action animation, in my opinion, is great posing. When you're animating an action sequence, you need to be able to freeze the animation at any time and have a great pose on your screen. Something understandable with strong, exaggerated, and motivated design. Now, how do we get there? Let's follow those rules. The first rule is believability, and this is why you may want to use references. They help you catch the little details and body mechanics you may not know, but they also help you see what's possible. What we do from there is exaggerate what's possible, not breaking it. The example I like to use is the arm pose. You can't bend your elbow side to side. If you do so, your pose feels broken. Same for the knees. Same for the shoulders. A common mistake I covered several times is animators trying to pose the arm upper than the shoulders without rotating the shoulders. That's physically impossible, unless you have a broken arm. Same for the legs. They can't go beyond this angle, unless you rotate the hips or pelvis. So make sure you study your body ranges of motion. Now I can hear some of you in the back saying, yeah, but I'm doing cartoony animation, so we don't care. Well, you're wrong. We can deform our characters or exaggerate the pose beyond real possibilities, but stick to believability. I can curve the arm to create a nice smear following its natural bending, for example. But don't do that unless you want to show a broken leg. The second rule is creating a clear line of action and a clear silhouette. The line of action is an imaginary line that goes through the body of your character and can be extended to his equipment, like Kibali's staff on this pose. It's generally simplified as a straight line, a C shape or an S shape. It gives clear directionality to your character. By the way, if you're liking this video so far, please consider leaving a like, dropping a nice comment, and subscribing. The line of action is then supported by the silhouette, and that's our third rule of good posing. On a good pose, you want to make sure that most of the character's features are recognizable. Can we see the hand? Can we see the head? Can we see the feet? There are cases where you obviously can't show all these details, but when you are animating to the camera and you're designing a frame where this could be done, then just do it. Also, you may have heard of the concept of complexity versus simplicity. When you look at a good pose, you'll generally find a simple side, like the shoulder line and the arms, or the back, and a more complex side. The complex side makes the design more appealing and helps understanding the character's features, his body features, gender, accessories, design style, while the other side supports the directionality and flow and complements the line of action. Finally, you want to avoid tendency at all costs. Basically, you don't want any body features to overlap. If I take this idle position, for example, and my camera angle is as is, I may want to slightly move the arm to the side to make sure the hand's outline doesn't overlap with the thigh. If you apply these three principles, you will have good poses. Now, just push those poses. I have a full chapter about this in my animation course Alive, available on P2designacademy.com. Let me show you an example. I will use a jumping kick reference. I will now create a believable pose from it. Let's now find a good framing using a camera. Now let's push it. Let's push the silhouette further. Let's extend the line of action. Let's make big things bigger and small things smaller. Let's make sure we have no tangency. And here we are with a cool, exaggerated pose. You need to think about that for each of your poses. For me, that's the main rule to get good action animation. It's not timing and spacing. It's having great, iconic poses. My second tip for this video is flow. I already covered in a previous video the importance of good arcs in animation. Flow is the same concept, but based on the whole pose. Instead of tracking one specific body feature's arc, let's see how a part of the whole silhouette flows from one frame to the other. One of my favorite animators, Ryan Woodward, is a master at it. While achieving great and believable poses, look how smooth the body flows from one pose to another. I'm myself obsessed with the hand-to-hand flow. I think it's so important in a good pose to pay attention to the shoulder line, elbows, and hand position in space and how they flow from one frame to another, including any extension of the arm like a tool or a weapon. The position of the head based on this line will communicate something totally different about your character's intention. You probably heard before the expression, the shoulders are the eyebrow of the torso. I like to extend it to the arms. And I tend to find the same relationship between the torso and the main leg. The main leg is generally the one pushing or kicking and defining the line of action. I know it might be a little abstract, but the only way to progress is to animate or practice 3D poses creation. Do that for an hour a day to warm up and you will progress fast. Don't hesitate to share the results on Instagram, X or Blue Sky and just tag me. This is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one.